from Hell's Kitchen.
Can't say eyes.
I grew up here in Hell's
Charlie
Kitchen.
Cox. I like to be Daredevil.
It is true. Yeah, the accent kind of does stick out a little bit, but still, I think that would be awesome if they moved him over.
I liked him. I think he was good.
Yeah. Wow, that's what a
But
glowing
he can't
review.
do an American accent.
I want to hear your Irish accent. I think that's what we need. To
I'm not an actor.
Nonetheless,
I'm on an Irish television show.
do an Irish accent the rest of the show. I think that's what we have to do.
I was doing my Scottish one last night because we were watching Harry Potter, and
It wasn't a hit.
Chen's Scottish accent is pretty intense on that.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is Between the Streams. This is our weekly podcast here from Digital Trends, where we talk about movies and entertainment and try to bring you up to speed with everything that's happening in the world of streaming entertainment and beyond that as well. Things on the docket today, we're going to discuss Netflix buying rolled gold. That's right? What am I doing here? Yeah, Rolled
Gold
Doll.
is the pretzel.
Rolled Gold's the pretzel.
Roald Dahl
It's
is
Friday,
the
everybody.
author, so
Roald Dahl.
pretty similar.
Very similar, exactly the same thing. Rolled Dolls.
Basically the same.
Works, which have been acquired by Netflix for a bunch of different movies and entertainment. Rolled Gold. Hey, man, you just got to roll with it sometimes. Talking about Hellboy, talking about lots of different things. And we're broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Periscope, which means we can take your comments, your questions, anything you want to bring up. Let's talk about that. And I'm Greg Nibbler.
I'm Ryan Juanita.
And I think one of the big things that we found out this week, which we were kind of discussing there at the beginning, has to do with Netflix. Netflix's continuing dismantling of the Marvel television series, all of them.
And I really wish I
All
would
of
have
them.
said that this was going to happen. I think we talked about it, about how the Daredevil season 3 viewership was down.
Yeah,
This is not a surprise.
yeah. I mean, but
I basically thought this was coming sooner or later.
well, it's too. Did they actually know it's not? Because Netflix doesn't.
Well,
release
there
those
was this other
numbers.
company that was doing numbers for it, and they're the
Okay.
ones that predicted that Luke Cage was going down, or they're the ones that explained why Luke Cage went down.
But is
and,
it-
And then it's turned out, or it was a similar company, and they have ways of
of monitoring
it's like
and tracking that.
it's like exit polls.
Well,
You know, that's how they do it.
do you think that's actually the case because Netflix has money to keep these things going, or is it
Well,
just
I think
because
that
Disney
they're
is pulling it?
expensive. They don't like their deal with Disney right now. I
Yeah.
don't think they want to remind people about Disney.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, you like Marvel,
And
but you can watch the rest
yeah,
of Marvel over on Disney Plus.
Exactly. So it's not a
Yeah.
one-issue thing. It's like, well, the numbers aren't looking good. Well, these
Yeah.
shows are pretty expensive. Well, Disney, we don't like them. They're jerks. Okay,
Right.
you're gone.
Well, so and that is the news. Daredevil being canceled after season 3, which makes us already want to watch the 3rd season now, which I hadn't watched it
I
yet.
still
Anyway,
want to watch it.
Maybe that's telling a little bit.
Yeah, exactly.
So canceled there. So that brings up to date for the cancellations. We have Luke Cage canceled, Iron Fist, not surprising, canceled, Daredevil canceled. Jessica Jones is supposed to have her other season come out still. It's supposedly in production.
Yeah.
Whether
And-
that's the case, I don't know if that still happens now at this point because it's kind of pointless to me. It's kind of a pointless series to me at this point.
Yeah,
know,
because
because you know it's
mean,
gonna
not
get canceled
connect.
after that.
Well, and the Punisher's already shot.
Yeah, Punisher season 2.
That's going to happen.
I mean, the Punisher at least is kind of standalone. I mean, I know there's some Daredevil crossover there.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
But yeah, you could get that as its own series. But Jessica Jones, it's part of the whole Defenders thing. I mean, that's the point was all for the series. I don't know if
yeah, well,
Jessica
without
Jones
Luke
continues
Cage,
on.
Jessica Jones,
Yeah.
there's not as much compelling stuff happening because you wanted. I mean, I don't know about you, but I really wanted them to get together. That's like a big part of it. And
Well,
you're
they
like-
did for that one series.
Yeah, but you know
which
what
was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess I didn't see.
Defenders.
I didn't see the Defenders because I forgot to watch them.
Yeah, you didn't miss a whole lot on that one. It was not as good as
But
it
they're
could have
supposed to be married and such.
been. Oh, you
and,
mean with
like-
Luke Cage?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jessica
Yeah, oh,
Jones.
yeah.
No, that's what I was saying. Jessica Jones
Got
and
it.
Luke Cage getting together. So they didn't
Gotcha.
get together during the Defenders.
No,
I didn't
no,
think
I'm
so.
sorry.
Okay.
No, they.
No, I wanted to
mean,
see those two kids
Depends on your definition.
work it out and get together. You
Right.
know?
Well, right now we're not going to see that most likely. So
No.
that is the news. Daredevil canceled. But that's what makes me this little bit of hope there is that maybe Daredevil and they bring these characters over. And I keep saying Daredevil, just the Marvel television characters on Netflix. Maybe they bring them over to Disney Plus, and then we finally get to see the movie characters interact with the television characters,
Right.
like Daredevil and Winter Soldier team up or fight each other or something. I want to see Daredevil. and
Daredevil
Winter
would
Soldier
get
fight
the
each
crap
other.
kicked out of him by Winter Soldier.
I don't know. I don't know about that. What you think? You think Winter Soldier would win over Daredevil?
Well, yeah, he's like superhuman strength.
Yeah, but he's only got the one arm. I mean, the thing is,
No, but his superhuman strength is there. He's just also got a titanium arm. Winter
Yeah.
Soldier's badass. He's basically like Captain America, except instead of shield, he's got a
Huh.
crazy titanium arm or
I
obsidian-
think-
or whatever it's called. Unobtainium.
Yeah, but Daredevil has like nunchucks that he can
Vibranium.
throw at people.
I think it's vibranium.
Vibranium. Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah,
Whatever it
unobtainium is the other one.
That's X-Men.
Yeah, no, that's Avatar.
Oh, that's Avatar.
Anyway, the bottom line is
There's
Daredevil
too
has
many weird
nunchucks.
elements
He
of
can
it.
throw at him. Daredevil would win, and that's
No,
we're never
I
going to
don't
agree on
think
this.
so.
All right, well, Daredevil season 3 canceled. That's where we're at right now. So let's move on and talk about some other things that we need to get to before we launch into this. Nunchucks, dude, flying nunchucks. So we've got let's hit the weekend box office before we get into some more in-depth talk about some different superhero movies, some big trailer news.
Yeah,
but for the weekend box office, what is out this weekend that we can go see?
Nothing. There is virtually no movies new that are in like major theaters that we want to talk about. There's a couple of weird ones that you might be able to see if you got a nice theater and you live in a big city. If you've got like an indie theater, Anna and the Apocalypse is one that I wanted to touch on just because this is so weird. It's a zombie musical.
A zombie musical.
And it's getting good reviews.
Has the zombie genre kind of run itself out?
That's what everyone says, yeah. But this one is doing something different, which is like a fun, campy zombie musical. But it's
Where else
getting
can you take zombies after this?
2 musicals.
I mean, you've got that. You've got the World War II zombies.
Yes.
You've got now the zombie musical.
Well, you come back to the beginning and you do that Romero prequel or spin-off or whatever the hell they're doing about Night of the Living Dead. That's
we're almost to zombies on ice at this point is what we're going to be getting. I think.
Well, this is a musical, so it could certainly go on ice.
It could certainly go on ice.
It's kind of fun because it's a bunch of no names. John McPhail, I looked him up. He may have some stuff out there somewhere, but on Rotten Tomatoes, he's got one thing listed, and that's this movie. His best movie is this movie. His worst movie is this movie.
That's true.
That's what they list for a director, is their best and worst rated, and that's it. So it's kind of interesting, and I don't know. It looks fun, but you're going to have a hard time trying to see it because it's not in a lot of theaters.
It's being noted, I was wrong. There are some other genres where zombies can go into. Edward just noted zombies in space, zombie vampires. So I stand corrected.
Zombie vampires has definitely been done.
10 more years. Oh, has it?
I mean, it's basically the same thing.
No, it's different. It's a little bit different.
Because they're brainless, but they like to drink blood? Or
yeah, but then they have to look good, though, don't they? Because vampires are supposedly look good.
I don't think you can mix those two things, but it's been close to done.
We'll get to the bottom of it.
Because there's been a virus that creates vampires, which is basically like...
Actually, there's a virus that creates vampires.
Hey, man.
I know
about the vampires. But okay, so then the other movie is Mowgli. Excuse me.
Yes.
Which is the hyper-realistic Jungle Book movie that's way too close to the other hyper-realistic Jungle Book movie, and then it's also getting bad reviews. But it was directed by Andy Serkis, so that's
this is the one that's the dark version, though, like a darker
it's based
story.
Off the book, not the Netflix adaptation of the book. So yeah, it's a little darker, I guess, but it's not exactly getting the best reviews. So, and this one will be on Netflix on December 7th.
So you really don't this is part of Netflix's thing where they have to put it into the theaters in order to be eligible for awards, right?
Yeah, and it's got a great cast. It's got a great cast. It's got Christian Bale as the Panther Bagheera, Serkis as the Bear Baloo, Kate Blanchett as the Snake Ka, Naomi Harris as Wolf Nisha, and Benedict Cumberbatch as Shere Khan, the tiger.
Okay.
So good cast, but not getting the best reviews. It might be fun to watch once it jumps to Netflix. But I think the one thing that is interesting about this is that for years Netflix was bucking the trends and saying, sort of flipping off the movie theater chains and saying, no, we are going to put our movies in theaters and on our service at the same time.
Right.
And you can, go screw yourself, basically. And the chains then reacted with, their epic proportions that they have, these massive conglomerates, and said, okay, well, we're not going to screen any of your movies. And so then Netflix went to some of the smaller screening houses.
You can kind of understand where the theater chains are coming from in that.
There's
waste entire theater.
There's arguments for both sides.
Yeah.
I thought that there was a really easy way for the two to kind of come together and work together. There's all kinds of ways that you could promote things back and forth and some give and take. Well, it turns out that they never did that, but Netflix just kind of gave in and said, here's a week. We'll give you a week of this movie in theaters before we put it on our service. So the question is Netflix going to continue to give up ground there so that they can be seen as a real movie studio? Maybe will we see a Netflix movie a month or two from now?
Yeah.
Or in a couple of years that has a month or two between when it hits theaters and when it hits Netflix? It'll be interesting to find out.
I don't think you'll have a month or two.
The question is, will they start making movies that big? Can they make a big blockbuster that they do want to be seen in theaters?
I mean, they put $100 million into that Will Smith movie,
Bright.
Yeah, Bright.
Yeah, I mean,
that's big movie
and
budget,
and they're saying that they got a good return on that. But you have to wonder, If they've already given up this week window of ground, are they going to continue to do so?
Yeah. Well, and that is a good question. So I guess we'll see as we go forward what's going on with that. But you can go see it in the theater right now or just watch it on Netflix in like a week.
Can't fight City Hall and you can't fight AMC.
Yeah.
That's what they say.
And we've got several things to get to here that I'm really excited to talk about. I really want to talk about the Sopranos news. But another movie that's looks like it's going to be a big award winner is Aquaman, coming out December 21st.
Award winner? Oh, I see. It was
getting
sarcasm.
terrible reviews.
No, it's not getting terrible reviews.
Oh,
It's
well, it
getting
depends on
good
what
reactions.
you're. Okay, well, why don't you walk through?
Well, first of all, there are no reviews because it's not actually able to embargo the reviews yet. But what I don't know who you've been reading. Maybe some people hated it, but what I've seen is that this is being called the second best DC movie.
That's not what I read, but
yeah, I've gotten this from a fair amount of people online are reacting positively to it.
Okay,
I'm sure there's plenty of people that didn't like it. Apparently, from what I've read, the idea is it's melodramatic, it's over the top. This is from Gizmodo's Germain Lucier. He says it's unabashedly melodramatic and over the top with the largest, most ambitious sense of scale imaginable. Parts of it are kind of bad, but they are not the majority, and oddly still fit in with the cartoony tone.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Well, then maybe I'm wrong. Maybe what I've been reading
really is going to depend on, I'm sure, just your personal taste. But it seems to me from the people that I've been reading so far that the over-the-top look, the very cheesy look, is sort of something that the movie leans into. That it's fun, that Momoa is fun to watch, and that overall it's a decent movie.
That's good to hear because I do like the character of Aquaman, and I do like Jason Momoa, and I would like to see it succeed. So maybe I'm.
Yeah,
that makes me optimistic.
We'll just have to see, but that's you read some bad reactions. What I've read have been good, so I guess it's sort of it's going to be really interesting once the reviews start coming out and once I get to actually see it in theaters because I try to give every DC movie a chance.
Yeah.
I actually liked Batman and Superman for the first hour.
Right.
And then it just crumbled in front of me like dust. So we'll just see what happens. But I will agree with you that I thought this movie looked terrible from the start. There were some cool scenes with the villain, but mostly it looks like really fanciful and weird.
Which, perhaps it's going to change some opinions then.
Yeah, I mean maybe apparently it skews into fantasy too, like it kind of looks like a
balances
fantasy epic
line.
Because it's about kings and everything underwater and all that stuff.
The Underwater King.
Yeah,
okay.
I don't know. We'll see.
Speaking of kings, trailer that did very well so far. Thank you. 224 million times in the first 24 hours, I believe, is according to Ryan's info here, which is for the Lion King.
Yeah,
the Lion King, the live-action Lion King. Which, in case you didn't know, is coming out next year, July 19th, 2019. Disney's kind of in a phase where they're making live-action versions of everything. Supposedly Little Mermaid's in the works. I have seen the Dumbo trailer, and it's so disturbing I don't even want to show it on this here, on this show. I don't want to show it here.
Yeah, the Dumbo trailer.
I mean, it's horrifying. It's like, oh, here's a tortured elephant. Look at this. Like, ugh.
Well, that and it's also really stylized, like really, really, and it's Tim Burton. And 10 years ago, I would have said, oh, it's Tim Burton. It's going to be amazing. But the last few things I've seen from Tim Burton have not given me hope for that movie.
No.
The Lion King, though, the way I feel about it is, if you don't want to wait for this, you can just watch The Lion King. It's as they showed in the trailer. It is shot for shot, essentially, of the original trailer. Somebody did a footage thing
where it's side by side.
They did it on purpose. They're trying to basically completely recreate their animation in this hyper realistic CG animation with on shot locations and everything. And this is Jon Favreau's new thing. He did it with The Jungle Book, and to my surprise, that movie made a ton of money. It was well reviewed, and I just kind of thought, why? But
people love these Disney stories. I mean, Beauty and the Beast.
Sense because it's like, okay, there is a human character, and it's hard to do these, animal characters. So we'll do it CG with real human, But this is just a bunch of animals. So why does it need to be? But apparently, people are very excited about it because 230 million people saw it on the first day.
I mean, they're going to keep on doing these. Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, Aladdin's coming out with Will Smith.
And they did Beauty and the Beast, but that was more live action. This is this thing where it's essentially animation, but it's not. Again, they're calling it hyper realistic.
I mean, there was definitely some animation.
Of course, I mean every movie has some animation, right? I mean,
this is crazy.
You can't see a movie
over
that
the
doesn't
top.
have some CG animation, but this is essentially an animated movie.
Well, July 19th, 2019 is when that's going to come out. They're also working on Pinocchio, live action version of Pinocchio. And one of the rumors this week, I didn't write this in here, was that Tom Hanks is who they're targeting
for
or
Geppetto.
maybe Geppetto.
Okay.
Yeah, to play
All
Geppetto.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, The Lion King has a crazy cast. For those who don't know, it's Donald Glover and Beyonce as Simba and Nala. It's Seth Rogen and Chiwetel Ejiofor, Billy Eichner, and John Oliver, Keegan-Michael Key. James Earl Jones comes back to do
pretty big
the
staff.
same role that he did for the original movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Good cast.
That is a good cast.
I mean, that really could be a reason to watch it if you just want to see that cast do those voices.
Do the voices.
Yeah.
All right, let's go on to the next thing here. I'm move that streaming news down just a little bit. Let's talk about Sopranos. Good. So the Sopranos, if you are a fan, I'm a fan. I think it's probably the best television series for me of all time.
Best drama or just best TV series in general?
Oh, that's if you start dividing. If you had to pick up number one overall.
Yeah.
Sopranos.
Not Seinfeld?
It's close.
I just read something that said the kids, the millennials, they don't think the Seinfeld's any good anymore.
They don't know what they're talking about. So The Sopranos, though, is in the news right now. We're not going to get a sequel, clearly, because, unless you somehow explain away James Gandolfini, who passed away. But we are going to get a prequel. So The Sopranos prequel movie with David Chase involved. And Personally, I'm very excited about it. I've seen and talked to a lot of people who aren't as excited about it and think this is a good way to ruin it. I don't look at it that way because you're not involving really the characters now. You're involving these past characters. You'll probably get Johnny Soprano, Tony Soprano's dad. You'll probably get that element in there, who was shown in flashbacks throughout the series. But you get Dickie Moltisanti, who is Christopher's dad, who's always referenced. Like, to me, it's like filling out these stories that they always reference.
So it's
in the series, and now you get to actually see it.
You're thinking it's like a Red Dead 2 situation.
A Red Dead 2. Ooh, that's a good one. Yes,
where not only is it a prequel, but it makes the original better because you have more of this. Yeah, you're fleshing it out there. Okay, I can see that. Because a lot of these movies are just, now the cast doesn't have anything to do. The series has been over for a while, so Entourage the movie. Sex and the City the movie.
No, this is filling out those backstories.
This is a little different. I can see that.
Because, it's a prequel. It takes place, I think, in the 60s and 70s is what they were talking about. And, that's exciting.
Period piece. And, it's gangsters. And it's got some good folk working on it.
And
you convinced me. I'm going to watch it.
Yep. So it's The Many Saints of Newark is what the working title is right now.
Cool.
And, I don't know when it's going to come out, but definitely it's in the works. David Chase writing it.
Let's be honest. That was, obviously the heyday for gangsters. It's not as fun to see him in the FBI, cameras everywhere, can't get away with anything era to some degree. Because back then it was just a free-for-all. And, of course, that's not good for real life, but it's fun to watch. It's
great for a movie, though.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so that's the news on that. Let's go back to Netflix and talk a little bit more about them and my buddy Roald Dahl. And Roald Dahl, Willy Wonka.
Yeah.
Author of so many different
BFG,
children's books.
Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yep.
Keep going.
There's Matilda, Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator, The Twits, a bunch of different things that Roald Dahl authored some great children's books.
Right.
And now Netflix has pretty much purchased the right to animate all of them. And they've talked about not only animating all of them, but also expanding on the stories. So creating essentially in a whole world, especially with Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and expanding that character, maybe doing a prequel, maybe expanding afterward, using some of the other books, a lot that they're going to mine from this.
Yeah.
How do you feel about this, right? Because I know clearly you're a fan, and I want to know what you think about this.
Yeah, I didn't read Roald Dahl that much when I was a kid. I read kind of the big ones, but because he has a ton of stories that maybe a lot of people haven't heard if they weren't super into him, and it gets deep, but I don't know. Well, just for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, I don't know if there's that much more to tell. I guess.
You could.
You can, but should you? Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
We
have the power, but should we?
Exactly. It's the old Jurassic Park question.
Well, what do you think?
I will give it a shot. I didn't realize it was going to be animated. It's not going to be live action?
It looks like from what their report is that they're looking at animating them.
So then the question to me becomes, what kind of animation are they doing? CG? Obviously, that's what most things are. Are they going to do, old school,
traditional
animation style, which would probably still have CG, but it would look a little different.
Right.
I don't know. I will give it a shot. It sounds to me like this is another play for kids, to get the eyeballs of kids. And that has, I wrote a thing about this. That's one of the big plays right now for any of these streaming services that really want to, stay viable no matter what happens.
Mm-hmm.
If you get kids hooked to it, and parents more like that have kids that are hooked to it,
right?
Hooked on it, they will keep paying for it, right? I mean, if your kid is watching one series on Netflix and it's their favorite show, and you can sit your kid down in front of it, and you can go have a life while your kid is mesmerized by the show.
Perfect parenting.
Let's be honest, that's what parents do a lot of the time.
I don't have a kid.
You're going to pay that $11 a month.
Yeah.
Even if Netflix stops carrying The Office or whatever it is,
Daredevil
the movies that
3.
you really liked, or Daredevil, you're going to still pay that money because it's not that much, and it's a good babysitter.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right.
And that's what Disney's going to have at their disposal. Don't question how
Disney
much they can throw
what they're doing
at a children's programming, tier of that Disney Plus streaming service.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a big part of the war going forward. Plus, Disney has Hulu. They own 60% of Hulu, so they can add children's program to that to beef that up. So kids are going to be a big part of this battle, and that's kind of this is
why
a big
Netflix
move
is
on
going
that
after
front.
that.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the stories. So buying the rights to the Roald Dahl series and all of them, essentially.
Yeah.
Also, Cowboy Bebop. Now, I am not a Cowboy Bebop fan because I didn't know what Cowboy Bebop was. I'm not a big anime person. So this wasn't in my wheelhouse, but judging by how many news stories and how many people are freaking out about it, it's clearly a very popular series.
It's
anime
one of those
series.
really big cult classic things that I think it gives you credit in the nerd cultures and the certain places.
And maybe it's great.
Yeah.
And I just don't know. It's set in the year 2071. The show followed the crew of a spaceship known as the Bebop as they tracked down wanted fugitives around the galaxy and tried to earn a living as bounty hunters. Bebop's fun to say, I'll give it that. So there's that. But now what Netflix is going to be doing is making a live action version of this. And that's why people were very excited this week. Let us know, because we are broadcasting live, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, Periscope. Like, is this something that you're excited about? Should I go back and watch the Cowboy Bebop animated series? And is this something that deserves to be revisited, or not?
Yeah, I've never really watched it, but I know a lot of people who are into it. So.
Yeah, well, there's that. So Netflix going after that market, and also continuing on with the anime idea of things. They've purchased the rights to several different anime series that we know are going to be coming out. Ultraman, Saint Siva, Knights of Zodiac.
I'll watch Ultraman.
Ultraman.
I hope they do a cool job at that.
Yeah, Ultraman, I am interested in that one. So Netflix really doubling down on that aspect of it and going after this anime. It feels like whatever is out there, if there's enough of it, somebody's going to try to snatch it up to be like, okay, we're the anime place. You come here for anime.
Yeah.
You go here for this. You go here for this.
You got to wonder eventually if they're going to over-leverage themselves. But because they are creating a fair amount of debt.
They are, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if we talked about it shortly, but we thought it was going to be $8 billion this year, and it ended up being, they think, as much as like $15 billion or more that they spent just on content. So we'll see how long they can keep that up, but there's plenty out there.
The streaming wars are definitely on. I mean, between pretty much any service you can think of is offering something. I mean, Apple.
Apple's really
Disney,
pushing
Netflix, all the regular ones, and everybody else trying to get into it. And in case you didn't know, AT&T has had original programming going for a while. They did do.
Well, they own Warner, basically most of Warner. So
and they have unveiled their plans for a new streaming service of their own that's going to launch in 2019. What it's going to be called, I don't know, but Warner Media is what they own. And the package is going to have 3 tiers, one package focused on movies, one on original programming and blockbuster films, and one on licensed content in an effort to reach more customers. So they are really trying to focus on creating their own content for the AT&T network.
They also have DirecTV, which is a little known satellite network, and DirecTV Now, which is a live TV streaming service. And they have a lot of things.
They do. They do, but I don't think I'm going to be going to an AT&T streaming service. Not yet.
They do own DC, so there's that.
Okay, but DC has its own streaming service.
Right.
DC Universe or DC, forgive me, I can't remember. There's so many different services. DC does have their own streaming service that's coming out with original live action shows as well.
I don't know how that plays out.
I'm
having a hard time keeping up with how many things that even just AT&T owns. Somebody described it, I wish I had the person so I could quote them, but somebody described it as sort of like the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
You start with 16 teams and you end up with 2. That's kind of how the conglomeration is happening. Eventually, it's just like we said, it's going to be AT&T, Taco Bell, Nike owns the world, you know.
Right.
It's getting pretty crazy how much stuff they own. So.
If
they want their service to, be popular, they have enough money to
they have the ability to do it.
And they also have HBO.
Oh, that's true.
A streaming service on its own, essentially. Yeah. So,
well, we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
Taking a look at the comments, Tiffany just said, I think Netflix killed the interest in Daredevil by taking so god long to release the seasons. The last season was blah. I haven't watched the last season, but now I have even less incentive to do it.
I've heard it's a slow burn. Maybe she didn't get to the action yet. I don't know.
Let's take a look on YouTube at some of the comments here. And before I know we've got just a few minutes here to kind of get through a few stories that we've got to get to, but Vivek just said 2019 is going to be lit for the entertainment industry. Yeah, there's a lot of content coming out. How much of it's going to be stretched thin? Eventually it's got to be stretched too thin, but, maybe we keep this going for a while.
Well, we talk a lot about how expensive it's going to be and the partitioning of all content into separate streaming services. But if you do want to look at it from the glass is half full angle, there's no shortage of stuff to check out and to watch. And you can also get trials through a lot of these services. So if you just want to bounce around and check everything out, and maybe you broke both your legs and
you've got lots to watch,
not going anywhere for a while,
that's what we're here for.
Plenty to see
is to walk through all of this. So between the streams, the animated series coming out on the AT&T network in 2019, I think.
I love it.
Hellboy is coming back. Hellboy being rebooted.
That's a great idea.
I think so too. I mean, it's got to happen. Hellboy being rebooted with David Harbour as Hellboy. We continue to get some more images of him as Hellboy. I really like this cast.
Yeah, he looks gruff.
Yeah, he looks great. They've talked about this being more of a darker, more horror version
blood
of
and
Hellboy.
Guts. It's going to be blood and guts.
Blood and guts, kind of like the comic. It's going to be R-rated. Yeah. It's April 12th, 2019.
I will watch.
I'm very excited. Yeah,
Mila Jovovich, Ian McShane, Thomas Hayden Church, Lowell from Wings.
I like Lowell.
And
that is an old school reference. I think most people aren't going to know the Lowell reference.
That's not his most recent thing, but
that's like Steven Weber. All I ever think of is like, oh yeah, guy from Wings.
Brian.
Yeah.
My wife and I have been watching Wings because it's like dumb sitcom humor and it's like really light. There's a lot of and it's actually just kind of fun to make fun of, but it's also pretty funny. It's like the 2.5 Men of its day, but like better.
Oh, it's better than that.
Yeah, it's better, but
it's
very sitcom-y, let's put it that way.
All right. Yeah, I'll give you that. Another
I like Wings.
animated television superhero series, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, this
coming out
awesome.
December 14th, which is essentially, I mean, you can watch the trailer for it, and there's lots of stuff that goes on with it. But essentially, what it is it's a bunch of different different spider people from different Spider-Verses.
Spider folk
come together in one universe.
Yes.
I didn't grab the trailer, but you can watch it at digitaltrends.com. It does look pretty great.
It's
cast. Animated.
Haley Steinfeld, Nicolas Cage, Mahershala Ali, Liev Schreiber is Kingpin.
Okay,
Jake
I like that.
Johnson from New Girl, and he's in Jurassic World and stuff. He's Peter Parker, the original Spider-Man. And then Miles Morales / the other Spider-Man, Shamik Moore. We thought that was Donald Glover for a while, but he played Miles Morales in a TV series, so I got really confused.
Yeah, I did get really confused.
But there's a lot of Spider-Mans out there. So
a lot of Spider-Man.
I'm gonna give us a pass.
A lot of Spider-Folk.
Yeah. But this movie looks really fun. It's Sony Animation, and they don't do a lot of stuff that I thought has been good so far.
Yeah.
I think they do like the Hotel Transylvania stuff.
Ooh.
But what I've seen of this, it looks just visually dazzling. So it could be cool.
And there's already talk that Miles Morales is going to get his own movie too after this. They're already
an animated movie.
An animated sequel. So there's that. Couple more things to bring up here. Jordan Peele is one of the most busiest people in all of Hollywood.
Most busy.
All of movie most busiest. I know. I was going to say that, and I was hoping you would just let me go.
I'm going to just roll with it. I'm going to roll with it.
You're going to roll gold it. By the time we get to this point in Friday, words are hard.
Words are hard.
So Jordan Peele, though, I love. He's involved in about 1 million different projects, but this one I think is pretty awesome because I like this old horror movie.
This is so up his alley.
Oh yeah, Candyman. Now, if you ever watched Candyman, it is a super campy horror movie from the 80s. It's kind of along the lines of like a blaxploitation horror movie.
Yeah, and it's like if you're really scared of bees, it's aversion therapy.
Yeah, essentially, Candyman is the ghost of a murdered slave who hangs out at a restroom at a park in Chicago.
Yeah.
And the only way you get him to summon him is you have to say Candyman 5 times
Right.
in the mirror.
As opposed to 3 times with the other.
Yeah, no, you got to say a full
stuff.
5 times.
It's 5 for this guy.
5 times.
You really got to mean
Make sure, yeah, you're not going to accidentally say it.
Yeah.
So 5 times, and then Candyman shows up and he slices you up and he's got bees that come around for some reason. I don't know. He's
This
awesome.
is a classic. I mean,
Candyman's
it
great.
was like, I think early 90s. You know, we all watched this
Candyman.
when I was like 13.
Uh-huh.
This was like an amazing movie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it holds up. I haven't seen it in a while, but I can see why they want to reboot it.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not going to say it's, you know,
I don't care. It needs to happen.
there's enough reboots out there, so it's going to happen. And if it's going
Jordan
to happen,
Peele's doing it, and he's
might
actually
as
kind
well
of
be
calling
Jordan
it a
Peele.
sequel, I believe. Like
Okay.
it's following along. I can't remember how many Candyman.
Well, that's
were, but
I always like it when
I
they
think I've said
at least
it
try
5
to
times
create
at this
their own
point, almost.
story.
4 times.
Yeah, be careful, man. We're on the air here. You don't want Candyman to show up.
It's great. So Candyman getting a reboot from Jordan Peele. 2 final things here we want to do before we wrap back up to the top of the show and just kind of recap a couple of things. This is one that you pointed out last week, and we're talking about a documentary, and this is amazing.
Yeah,
what
do we
they've
have
done
the
with
footage for this?
I believe we do have the footage for it. I think I dropped it in for They Shall Not Grow Old. And this is from Peter Jackson. It's a World War I documentary. And it's perhaps I didn't grab it. If I didn't grab it, it's at. Oh, I did. Okay. Panic.
Well, it's something that we want to see because this is insane. Peter Jackson and his crazy team at WIDA. I don't know if it's a straight up WIDA thing, but it's his specialists. They took 100-year-old World War I footage. And 1918, man, and
Yeah.
1917. So they took this footage and basically redid everything. They basically had to recreate it from scratch almost, basically.
Yeah.
Like using it as a skeleton, and you look at it and they've colorized it, but they've colorized it in a way that you've never seen. It looks more amazing than any footage. They've taken it and made sure it's all at 24 frames because back then they were winding a camera.
Yeah.
So the frame rate depended on the cameraman, and they were talking about it. If the cameraman got excited about some footage, it would go faster and then slower again.
That's
so they
crazy.
painstakingly remastered every frame of this to create this stunning footage of World War I.
And I mean, yeah, it's as World War I has never been seen before.
It's amazing.
I mean,
And they redid the sound, like most of it with Foley, and it's just
It looks amazing.
it's a
And
crazy idea, and it's a little bit part CG imagination, but
some of these
it
were as
looks
little
so
as
amazing.
10 frames per second.
Yeah.
Some of them. Wow.
Yeah, and so they're coming out with this, and it's called They Shall Not Grow Old. And if any of you are war, as far as like historical war footage, if you're interested in that kind of thing,
I mean, I'm
going
interested just to see what
yeah,
it's like, because
it's
how
you learn
horrible
about these terrible things that happen.
Yeah, and World War I was horrible, and
Yeah.
I think it's really important to have something like this to show.
Unfortunately, they don't have much. Well, maybe fortunately, honestly, because it's so terrible. But they don't have a lot of footage of the actual battle scenes, if any. Most of it
I
is
couldn't
just
have
the
a guy
soldiers.
out there cranking a.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly why, because we have plenty of World War II, but they do have just a lot of the setups and the soldiers and moving.
I think
around.
just the technology.
Yeah, you might have
so much more advanced in 30 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or 25 years or whatever it would have been. But yeah, that's. I'm really excited about that. So
It's pretty cool.
So that's
There's also a doc you can watch about the making of it on YouTube, which I highly recommend. If you click on the trailer, in fact, it'll probably come right up. And I just found myself mesmerized by the process.
So that movie is going to be coming out, I believe, in a couple of weeks. I'll grab the date on that. I forgot to grab the date. That's my fault. But it's coming soon. So
Yeah, it's coming in December.
They shall not grow old. So keep your eye out for that. Final thing I wanted to say, and we'll wrap up here after that, is just I want to give a spoiler-free review. If you're a Narcos fan and you've been debating whether to watch the new season of Narcos, which is kind of a spin-off of the original 3 seasons. It's called Narcos Mexico. They even delineated it that way. It's good. It's
nice.
really good.
I wasn't sure what you were going to say.
It's good. I mean, Michael Pena and Diego
Luna. Yeah.
And I haven't watched a lot of Diego Luna before, so
He's great.
I know everybody always talks about how great he is, and I understood. I appreciated that.
Yeah.
Other than seeing him in Rogue One, I don't think I've seen a lot of Diego Luna movies.
Right.
Diego Luna is great in this, and he's terrifying. He is terrifying. He plays Felix Gallardo, and Michael Pena also plays. They're both playing real life characters on opposite sides of the law. Michael Pena is amazing in it too. It's really great. It's very, very bloody. It's very. I mean, they don't hold back on it. It is not a glamorous look at the drug trade.
Yeah.
But for something that actually historically happened, generally speaking, they apparently they keep pretty true to the story. So
Yeah,
I like it.
I think that
Narcos
looks pretty
Mexico.
compelling.
Yeah.
And that's a good review. I'm gonna check it out.
Yep. All right. Back to the top of the show. I know we kind of went over a little bit of our time, but just to say, you know, Daredevil season 3 canceled. Maybe, hopefully, we'll see it come back to Disney, but that's kind of where we're at right now. And we've got articles on everything that we've been talking about at digitaltrends.com that you can take a look at. And we're between the streams, and we're live every Friday at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and then, of course, up as a podcast. We want you to hit subscribe to that podcast. Hit subscribe wherever you get podcasts, and hit subscribe on Facebook or YouTube, wherever you're finding us with this, to make sure that we, that we're there for you every time.
So good. You can just have it in your car on the ride home Friday. Figure out what you want to watch.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of weird how you lowered your voice when you're talking about it. Now it's like you're.
It's a very good podcast.
Let Ryan talk to you. All right, animated version coming out next year. Thank you, everybody, for tuning into Between the Streams. Send us an email, podcast at digitaltrends.com, and we'll be back next week with another episode.
Please subscribe.